Salam Sejahtera and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for taking time off to join our competitiveness talk today. We appreciate your participation. Our talk today is a continuation of a series of webinars focusing on Malaysia's competitiveness performance and rankings as assessed and reported yearly by international organizations, namely the International Institute for Management Development, or in short IMD, in their World Competitiveness Yearbook, and the World Economic Forum, also known as WEF, in their Global Competitiveness Report. In the recent World Competitiveness Yearbook 2020, also known as WCY 2020, Malaysia's competitiveness ranking has dropped to 27th position from 22nd in 2019, out of 63 countries assessed by IMD. This overall competitiveness score and rank is calculated based on 255 criteria, comprising 163 hard data and 92 survey data, categorized into the 4 competitiveness factors of economic performance, government efficiency, business efficiency, and infrastructure. In our talk today, our speaker, Encik Mohd Rizal Ayob, will be presenting on Human Development Index, which is a criterion in the category of health and environment within the infrastructure factor. I'm sure Encik Rizal will elaborate further and enlighten us on this index and its economic, social, and educational components, as well as share with us his findings and recommendations to improve Malaysia's performance and rank for this criterion. Now, let me introduce our speaker before handing over the session to him. Encik Mohd Rizal Ayob has vast experience as a consultant and facilitator in various government ministries and agencies, as well as companies in the private sector. He is a 6 Sigma Black Belt, certified by Motorola University, and a 5S Specialist Auditor, certified by Malaysia Productivity Corporation. Encik Rizal is actively involved in quality and productivity programs, focusing on problem solving, such as the Innovative and Creative Circle, or in short, ICC, and Lean, and also root cause analysis. A number of ICC groups under his guidance have achieved success at several national level competitions, such as the Annual Productivity and Innovation Conference, and internationally as well, such as the International Exposition of Team Excellence Symposium and the International Convention on Quality Control Circles. He also has extensive experience acting as a judge for such quality and productivity programs at the government agency, department, and also ministry levels. With that, I now hand over our proceedings to Encik Rizal. Over to you, Encik Rizal.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Wong, and welcome again to be the moderator for this session. And also thank you for everybody that participate in this session. Actually, this is my second sharing session. Previously, it was on the Wednesday by one of the index or indicator was called life expectancy at birth. So basically, our today's session is talking about Human Development Index, whereby the previous session is part of one of the sub-indicator, one of the component in this HDI. So before I start, just a brief introduction about this HDI. During my first task, when I get this task from MPC to try to get a few information and do some desk research, I thought it was a simple, the direct indicator that for me to it's easy to identify or search in any sources. But when I go through, it was happened to be like a quite big indicator, because it involves 3 different components. As mentioned by Mr. Wong just now, it involves social, it also involves health, and also involve education, and also our salary condition in our country, or we call it as per capita. So and then the second thing, our information or this indicator is basically refer to this United Nations UNDP report. Okay, so when you see the definition of UNDP is human development. So basically, our indicator today is more or less is direct to the agency itself. Okay. Okay. In the next slide, I'm still using, the normal or easier tools for us and for myself to easy to explain about the definition of HDI. Also, the elements include under HDI. So basically, this is the definition. So this okay, this is the definition stated in the HD report, Human Development Report, produced by UNDP. Basically, when in the slide mentioned, HDI is one of the 5 key components of Human Development Report. So I can just mention, actually there are the 4 sub report to complete the whole Human Development Report for this for UNDP. So I just tackle only one indicator, which is HDI. Actually, the other 4 is Inequality Adjusted Human Development Index, or IHDI. The second is the Gender Development Index, GDI. The third one is the Gender Inequality Index, GII. And the last one is the Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index, MPI. So I don't know what is the relation. Maybe there are relation indicator that involve maybe indirectly or indirectly with this HDI. But for today's session and for my desk research, I just concentrate for this indicator, which is Human Development Index. So basically, this report is produced 2019, but we extract it and use for the WCI report for 2020. But basically, the statistic or the data is based on 2018. So 2018 is the data. So the report is 2019 and used by WCY for report 2020. So that is the scenario of the statistic. So HDI is a summary measure the achievement for 3 main key dimensions or 3 main key components. The first one is a long and healthy life. So you can see under that theme, the indicator will be the life expectancy at birth. So this the indicator that I mentioned. I previously presented on the Wednesday. Maybe because of the time duration, I'm not be able to explain it again. So maybe for those who are not who are keen to know more about this indicator and in terms of the inputs, the recommendation, and also the opportunity for improvement, maybe I suggest all of you can refer to my previous presentation. So there are 2 other components, which is under knowledge, access to knowledge, decent standard of living. So basically, under knowledge is more about our studies. So there are 2 indicators involved, which is expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling. Okay, and the last one is about the GNI per capita. So for this, so you can see actually there's a lot of indicators involved for this main component of HDI. I only managed to do some research and do some desk research only for this both indicator, which is the life expectancy at birth, and also in terms of the knowledge, which consists of these two main indicators. So I leave it to maybe the others. There are maybe their indicator relate with this GNI per capita that can provide also the inputs. I think that input also being maybe give some some direction why it was affected, causes and effect of this HDI dimension. Okay, let's start. Okay, before we go to the main topic, which is you want to know what is the causes or the opportunity for improvement, and also what are the suggested improvement that we can suggest based on policy or regulation. Maybe we need to understand a little bit on the indicator that provide or list under this HDI. So basically, we start with this life expectancy. So I just give one short definition. So life expectancy is considered like a lifespan with a benchmark age. So this benchmark age is based on data that provided by Department of Statistics of Malaysia, which is we can get the latest one for 2019. It's already published under the OSM website. Okay. There's one question. I mean, Mr. Wong just asked me during the previous session. I managed to see the website. So basically, he asked me about what is the current current data for this life expectancy. Actually, we are the value. I think a little bit going down a little bit. At this last for 2018 is about 76. I mean, our value actually is 76. So when I surf the OSM report, they mentioned the value for 2019 is 75 point something, 75 point something. So okay, I think the main reason, because most of the initiative, or especially on the strategic plan under MOH, is already they will end up by this year, 2020. So the impact we can see only after 2020, after complete the whole strategic plan. So this is one of the the explanation about this life expectancy. So the rest about the others inputs, maybe you can refer to my previous presentation. So in these slides, beside the indicator, there are also two column provided. The one called the minimum value, and the other is the maximum value. This is I extract it from the report. Then I also want to know what is the behind the reason they need to do the minimum and maximum. So the answer is they need to have a baseline value, so that for them easy to do some calculation, because each of this indicator, they have their own calculation. So based on the individual calculation, they have to put in a consider as a summary formula to calculate the HDI value or HDI index. So they need this minimum maximum, so that they can control the data. I mean, they control the data provided by the countries. Even that, they have also a reason why they put this figure. For example, for life expectancy, the minimum value is 20 and the maximum value is 85. So according to Malaysia ranked last on 2018 is 76. So basically in that range, still in that range. So the reason why the minimum value is 20 years because in historical evidence, there's no country in 20th century had life expectancy less than 20 years. That is the justification mentioned. So the source I get from the one of the university from the Cambridge University Press. So he also mentioned in the UNDP report. So the same source. I'm not myself that digging for the source. This source is very reliable because it's under the UNDP report. Okay, next. The other two indicator under education, which is expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling. This is a new, the new indicator that will be highlight most in this session. So what is the expectation of schooling and what is the difference of mean years of schooling? Okay. Under this UNDP definition, this expected year schooling is numbers of years for those population that be able to complete the years of education. Okay, by age 25 means when they reach 25 years, they be able to complete the whole duration of the education system from the pre-education until university. So that is the layman definition for this expectation of schooling, but it excludes years of repeating. Repeating means if any transition happen, for example, you want to repeat from the previous years, or you want to repeat, especially in the degree program, or actually in degree program. So it's not exclude. It was not include under this definition or in this value. So they also have a justification why they declare 18 years and 15 years. Okay. Okay. Another indicator is the mean years of schooling. This mean years of schooling actually is more about the number of attendance, years of attendance, meaning there's no dropout. There's no dropout. Meaning you complete the years, okay, from age 2 until 29 years old. So basically, it's look like the same. These both indicator look like the same, but in terms of the calculation and also in terms of the figure, the sources is from different. The data is from the different source. So afterward, I will explain where the data come, where is the source of the data, especially for our country. And the last one, which is I will not be covered for this session, is the gross national income per capita. So the definition is about this gross national income (GNI), but this a little bit different because this stated the per capita in constant 2011. 2011. What is my understanding and based on my just research, meaning they use the conversion during that time. During that year, 2011 conversion. They are comparing the conversion based on the 2011 conversion for the international dollars, the dollar. So the reason why they put minimum value is 100 and the maximum value is 75,000. So the justification because there are few countries. So we know that Brunei and Qatar, Singapore, this one is the highest income per capita. So they use as a benchmark. at a value of 75,000, and that's the reason why they put 75,000 as the maximum value. I think 100, I don't know why they put 100. I think 100 is considered a very minimum. They cannot put 0. There's no counting. There's no value with the minimum of 0. So maybe 100 is the starting point. Okay. Okay, this is the where Malaysia position itself under this HDI value. So the HDI value is not in the percentage value. It's not under is under decimal point. Is 0.804. Okay, 0.804. Okay, so you can see the same value are reported in both report under WCI 2020 and also under Human Development Report 2019 based on data provided 2018. In terms of ranking for Human Development Report that participated by about 189 countries in many categories. Many categories. I mean, Asia Pacific also involved, Asian country also involved. So Malaysia ranked at the ranked at number 61. Consider little bit more than 50%, more than 50%. Whereby for WCY, the country participate only 63, so a little bit higher. Our rank is ranked at 49. In terms of the trend, for HDI, I just reported in the slides 2015, but in my writing report, I already collect the data since the 1990 until 2018. Okay, our value reached the number by 0.8 starting from year 2016. Year 2016 already started by, and then the value is 0.8. In 1990, we start with 0.6. We start with 0.6 or 4. Start to gradually increase, and we increase slowly until 2015. We are near to the value of 0.804. But in terms of the ranking, I think since 2015 until 2000, hold on, I have to move my. Okay, since 2017, 2018, our rank consider more or less at the same level, even though in the chart 2019 little bit drop 47, but almost in the value of 40, 40 to not more, not less than 48. So 48, 2017, and 2020 is 49. Through this statistic, if we serve Google in the website under UNDP, we managed to gather the data, and we were able to compare by a few countries. So I tried to compare with our Asian countries, involve Singapore, Malaysia, our country, Thailand, and Indonesia. So you can see same goes to my previous presentation on life expectancy. Singapore will be number 1. So the ranking is more or less the same. More or less the same. The life expectancy during that time, for life expectancy is 9. I think for life expectancy is ranked at number 8 for Singapore. Our country 49, Thailand 51, 61, and 60. So at a glance, we can see we share like a similar, at the same platform between Thailand, Indonesia, and Philippines. Philippines may be quite far a little bit. Indonesia and Philippines quite far. In terms of value, I think the big difference, if we are comparing from 3 or 4 main indicators, the life expectancy, the expected years of schooling, mean of schooling, and GNI per capita. I mean, the big difference is not on that in the education part. I think it's more on the per capita. So you can see, comparing Singapore and Malaysia, I mean, the gap is quite big. It's quite big. From 27,000 from Malaysia, and Singapore is 83,000. So maybe this much more affected the value, our ranking value, because is from this GNI per capita. But for the rest, the life expectancy, expected years of schooling, of schooling, I think the gap is not so big. Maybe for life expectancy, maybe some effect. So that because of that, our ranking, quite low. But the most affected is from the GNI per capita. So this is the summary of the statistic for HDI comparing to Asian country. But we will compare with other Asia Pacific countries, 7 countries. I think we still not so considered as quite far away. Still under the same value, 0.8. So I think should be okay. Okay, if you compare it under Asian Pacific country. So this is one of the statistic that I collected through this UNDP report. I try to compare with the Asian country and also Asian Pacific country. Okay, this is the source of data. I'm able to retrieve, or able to identify according to the indicator under this HDI. This is the source of data. It's not the source of articles or recommendation given by different parties, but this is only the source of data. So basically, life expectancy, of course, most of the data is provided by Department of Statistics and MOH. Only one indicator is provided by MOH, one of the agency under MOH, which is the National Health and Mobility Survey. Number 4 is come from the website. But for the education is quite special, based on my desk research and my appointment by the Ministry of Education. Actually, for the expected years of schooling, this data come from the MOE. But for mean years of schooling, we need to access from Department of Statistics, because they are using one of the survey, which is labeled for survey. There's one question. They're using this question to provide this indicator, the mean years of schooling. So I thought in early stage, I thought most data is come from the MOE, but when I do some research and contacted a few, these 2 agencies, actually is different. So labor force survey provided means of schooling, the expected schooling come from the MOE. And for the per capita, I think we can through MOF, Ministry of Finance. There are a lot of report provided from the agency, from the ministry. So this is the one of the list that I can be able to extract and list on this source of data. Okay, this is their logo, everything. Okay, this is the calculation. This calculation is also provided in the report from the UNDP. I tried to use the formula and try to put our Malaysia figure in this formula. So basically, when I use this formula, at the end for the for the summary, we use this logarithm, natural logarithm. So I got 0.805. I think it's more different with the value reported under the WCY, also the HDI report. I think more or less, I mean, consider is the right value and right figure. 0.805, I get 0.805. Maybe they are different because of decimal points during their early calculation from previous agency. Okay. Okay, this is how the calculation made. I concentrating on the education, the years of schooling. This data I mentioned earlier is provided by the MOE, Ministry of Education. So what is the definition of the years of schooling? Is about the total of number of schooling which a child of a certain age can expect to receive in the future. So meaning this is the early education. Early education being enrolled in school in any particular age is equal to the current enrollment ratio for the age. So you can see on the left side, on the my left side, there's one table starting from age 6 to 23 years old. So the calculation is the enrollment figure divide by population. Divide 5 to 5, 1 for 1, divide 49002, you get 1.07. So this is the enrollment rates, and you add on add all from the age 6, 7 until age 23. So you get the expected years of schooling for that particular year. For example, if the data is on this year, so meaning this year expected of schooling is 13.86. Okay. So this is how the calculation was made. I'm not able to mention where this table is which year, because MOE just giving me the example of this table, the statistic. So this is how the calculation is made. Okay, this is the other indicator under education, which is mean years of schooling. So under mean years of schooling, there are other formula at the bottom. You can see MYS equal to 0.1 plus and a few range. So actually, where we can get this the figure is there are two. Actually, it's one source. Suppose it's come from the MOE. But when I try to search from the internet under the reliable source UNESCO, I saw a little bit different. I mean, in terms of range between pre-primary, primary, secondary, compared to the source provided by MOE. So I still waiting from them to verify whether we need to use whether the formula is using this UNESCO website or we need to relate with the MOE. So the way it was calculated is based on the small box in the slide, assuming there's no schooling 10%, meaning you put in the bracket 0.1. So 0 is the constant figure. 0 is the constant figure. So another formula then plus 0.1 is the incomplete primary, and then you times 6 out of 2. 2 is the constant figure. 6 means 6 years provided from the MOE source. So you can try to add on through all this figure provided by MOE, so you can get the means of your schooling. So this is how they calculate this mean years of schooling, MYS. Okay, this is the whole structure. How we can relate the indicators provided by the UNDP or HDI report, and based on our local, our local ministry and agency involved in terms of data and also in terms of their own initiative. Okay, so in this structure, you can see the highest level, of course, our HDI indicator, which our objective. Then we have two both important indicator, which is the expectation of schooling and means of schooling. We try to concentrate on the left side first. I mean the expectation of schooling. So the data is under this UNESCO is about the participation in education. So if you talk about participation, means is involved enrollment ratio, enrollment. So under this enrollment, basically we can find a few measurement or figure stated under Malaysia Education Blueprint, starting from 2013 until 2015. So there are three sections, which is considered as dropouts, completion or incomplete rates, and transition rates. Okay, so this is three components that can affect our enrollment ratio that involve these four main category of education level. We have pre-primary, primary, secondary, and also tertiary. Okay. So we know that I think our previous government already highlighted this policy. Then I am assuming our current government also continuing the same policy, which is to educate or to emphasize emphasize our education policy to be a compulsory with zero dropout. So this is the main policy highlighted by the government. And the other side is about mean years of schooling. So this mean years of schooling totally refer to the labor force survey conducted by Department of Statistics, whereby this survey were guided by the International Labour Organization guideline. So more or less, the DOSM need to need to refer to this guideline and also their standard classification. So I put this both indicator and the component that involved under this indicator because it involves two different parties and two different recommendations. Something to do with Department of Statistics and another thing is something to do with the education. Okay, this is the a few issue that we highlighted. So this issue is not, of course, it's not from me. It's based on the article that I collected. Based on my research. So the issue is highlighted by a few articles. For example, sorry. Okay. Okay. I try to divide the causes or the issue based on category of education. So we start with the preschool categories. Okay. So these causes actually highlighted by one of the article by three main person. The title of the article is the preschool education in Malaysia, emerging trends and implication for the future. So this is one of the article that highlighted these causes. So what are the causes? They are mentioning about difficulty to select the right preschool, whether in terms of, I think, the fees, the quality, the module. So we know that our current situation right now, we have so many preschool with so many brand and with so many modules that even myself and I think most of us unable to choose because it's considered like doing education marketing in the early stage. So we are not concentrating on the module, but we are concentrating on the brand of on this category. So this is they highlighted about this issue. And then the second thing is about in terms of operation time between the private preschool center and also the government preschool center. We know that there are a lot of government preschool, for example, Kemas, under Kemas, but also a preschool that are located in the primary school. There are preschool that are located in the primary school. So most of these government preschool, their duration is according to the time same with the primary school. So I think it's considered quite difficult for those who need to send their kids. I mean, not able to take care of their kids in the evening because most of us working from morning to evening. So for them to put and to locate their children in the government preschool, whereby they are following the same time duration with the primary school, so I think one of the issue. But for private preschool, I think there's no issue because the issue is about the fee because we have to put some extra money there for extra time. And there are also issues highlighted by this study in terms of the numbers of government preschool in rural area. So I put all this issue because in the national blueprint, there are data mentioned about our enrollment student from age 4 plus and 5 plus from 2016 and 2016 were decreased about 1.6%. And the number of our school also decreased from 10,000 to 5,200 something in 2016 and in 2017. So this is maybe this causes is maybe one of the reason that we can look at and how to try to improve, try to suggest what is the best recommendation. And then the second part is there are 1 to until 11 courses. So all these courses is suggested by one of the article provided by the ideas. The ideas, agency, one of the NGO committee ideas, with the title of "Dropping Out School in Malaysia: What We Know and What We Need to Be Done." Okay, so they are listing a few reason based on their survey done to a few particular groups. So this is the list of issue being brought out. So for example, a few children get married, divorced, separated, or widow during their duration of education duration, lack of inter-school, inability to pay for education-related expenses, lack of interaction of parents with school teachers, and so forth. And also, there's one issue highlighted about this orang asal. Orang asli are not given the opportunity to create a curriculum and educational orientation based on their own culture. So when they highlighted about this orang asli, I found one statement under this MOE, whereby in 2017, the transition rate of orang asli year 6 to Form 1 had decreased about 74%. So I think it's a high dropout rate compared on the 2016. Yeah? So 83% in 2016 and still far from achieving the target percentage of 82%. So they're targeting about 82%. So I think this is a big issue. And then the last one, is about this labor force survey. Okay, in terms of this labor force survey, if you able to go to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, and you can download this survey, this labor force survey. You can see there's one component in that survey asking about your education background. So in this education background question, actually is more targeting in for the formal education, whereby we know that a few of us, there's groups that also send their kids in the in informal education scenario. For example, we know that like a school of tahfiz, so that consider is informal because it's not registered under MOE. So maybe this is one of the limitation for those to answer this survey. Then because of that, we are not able to collect this category and to be one of our data in the particular indicator. So this is a few recommendation based on the opportunity for improvement or the causes, and I try to relate with a few regulation and policies, because our objective right now is to eliminate, try to do some to enforce compulsory education and try to minimize dropout cases, and also with that we can increase the enrollment population. So by taking the Education Act 1969, maybe there's a space for our ministries to impose a compulsory education act. Okay. Actually, I saw in my desk research, and the one minister, our previous minister, they already highlighted this suggestion, and also agreed by the minister. But I don't know whether they are still continuing with this process. So they are suggesting to implement 11 years compulsory education system, whereby the present compulsory years of schooling to be increased from 6 to 11 years and implemented uniformly. Okay, the second one, in terms of the preschool, maybe we can suggest to extend the operation time to include daycare service to the preschool under MOE. This is not, I think most of our preschool, I just mentioned just now, they are only concentrate. They are following the same duration, the time duration based on the primary school. So maybe we can do some suggestion under this management of preschool guideline 2018. And then the so issue that been brought by the IDS under their report in terms of underage marriage. I think during our in recent years, this issue were very discussed quite thorough among a few groups, including our ministries. So actually, they already provided us with some strategy. We call the National Strategy in Handling the Cost of Child Marriage, and also the National Child Policy Protection Child Act 2001. Actually, they already started an initiative to increase the minimum age of marriage in Malaysia to prevent marriage under the age of 18. I think this is still in the process. We don't know what is the outcome, because it's not only involve our ministries, but also involve our the istana. Because our country have their own rules and regulation. And then the other part is how we want to control in terms of dropouts, this is about the awareness. Before this, we know that in our territory, our residence area, we only concentrate on the safety in terms of in and out cars, everything. But maybe we can suggest to tie up with this committee, our consider as volunteers to participate in do some guidance. So I mean, before that, of course, we have to conduct a survey on scenario of children used by parents to help family generate increase their household income and implement outreach program to the village head. The number 2.2. Okay. Now we know most of cases we see they are leaving the school and they are can see they are a few of the students they are hanging around at the shopping complex and everything. So normally we will report it to the higher authority, I mean the police. So maybe we can expand the scope, not only the police. Maybe we can tie with the the committee, the village committees, the imam or the village heads, in terms of how to control these cases. And then the last part, in terms of to reduce the gap between the parents and the school, we know that we have every school have their own persatuan ibu bapa under this Sarana Ibu Bapa guideline. Last year, one of the initiative taken by the MOE, I think they do some like a merit system, whereby if the parents are not involved with any meetings, especially the yearly or the quarterly meeting under this Persatuan Ibu Bapa, I mean they will affect our education, our students, our children merit in terms of their marks. So I think this is one of the good example how we want to enforce so that the gap between parents and especially the committee of parents under this Persatuan Ibu Bapa dan Guru can be more mutual understanding with both of these two parties. Okay. And then the other categories, for example, our primary and secondary tertiary, maybe we can do some enforcement in legal that I mentioned just earlier. Okay. I mean the other part is considered is important about this TVET education, because we know that level of dropout, the figure of dropout is quite high, and we know that government is already introduced a lot of second it's not considered like technical education. So TVET is one of the line that for these children who are drop out, maybe they can involve in this education, this TVET education. So far, what I'm in my understanding, there are few schools were selected by education, whereby for those who cannot perform in their mainstream education, especially in the SPM, they are able to join this TVET module in the same school. So I think that is one of the good initiative suggested by MOE. But they still need to attend and to complete their SPM, but only a few subjects. So beside SPM result, they also get the TVET certification. We know that TVET we have this a few levels. So they are able to get a few levels during their Form 5 level at the school. So this is one of the initiative. Not necessarily they have to complete the Form 5 SPM, then they have to come out and try to join other external or other school which provide the TVET education. And for orang asli, the one that I mentioned just now, actually Malaysia have their own education. They have their own education plan. It was draft and being highlighted in this National Transformation Orang Asli Education Plan 2012. But maybe we can suggest in terms of improving their curriculum by emphasizing on their own culture, language, and their system. This is regardless with this Article 14.1, whereby these indigenous people have the right to establish their own education system, providing education in their own language in a manner appropriate in their culture, method of teaching and learning. I think this is one of the article that we as an evidence for them to emphasize. I mean, if we want to do some improvement in the curriculum, but we know that we have a policy that we have to strengthen our standard language, which is our Malay language. So I think it's a little bit contra with this article. So because we know that it's a compulsory to use Malay language and English language as a secondary language. So maybe we have a little bit contra statement if we want to use this Article 14.1. And then for the labor force survey, there's a talk between MOE and Department of Statistics in terms of how to readjust the survey provided by Department of Statistics, or maybe they need to run a different survey out of this under this international guideline, so that they are be able to collect all the information that I mentioned just now to gather all those that joining the informal education, so that we can collect the data. And then the second one, beside using this labor force survey, labor force questionnaire, or the new one suggested by the Department of Statistics Malaysia, maybe we can use the university association. Most of the university, they have their own, we call that association, or I forgot the names. So maybe through this association, we can identify back those who are in that university. I mean, in terms of their background of study, and also in terms of their working experience after that. So this is also one of the sources of information. How we want to collect all this data, because education not means the formal education. It also involves any certificate that you get during your working, during you are working. So I think this is the last indicator that I able to share with all of you. The next indicator is the life expectancy at birth. So I mentioned just earlier, this indicator already been briefed and shared during previous session. So I'm not, I think it's not the right time because our time is quite limited. So I think I have to stop until this education indicator. So hopefully, if you want to combine together, you have to listen back to the previous session. Then you know the whole picture. why this life expectancy will involve is the HDI calculation. So basically, I think Mr. Wong, I end my session for this education indicator that involve two sub indicator, which is mean years of schooling and years of schooling, and also the few introduction and also a few suggestion recommendation, not from me but also not based on the articles then the desk research I've done for these few months. So I pass back to Mr. Wong for any questions and any discussion about this indicator. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Encik Rizal. Now we are open for questions. And I see there is one question here. It's quite a long question. Encik Rizal, I will read it out to you slowly. This question is from Encik Muhammad Wafi. Okay, the question goes like this. Talking about Human Development Index is really sound good and clear briefing given by the panelists. What about the teacher? As we know, many teachers are very dissatisfied for their application to return to their hometown. So I guess here posting of teachers.
Posting issue.
They apply to return to their hometown, but still being ignored by the KPM. And that's our MOE, I believe. Example, those teachers that are to be transferred to Sabah, let's say, they were told to be there for 5 years service at least, but nowadays it has increased to 10 years. Those that were transferred to Sabah, for example. So initially told they will be there for 5 years, but then ended up, increased to 10 years. There's no stated document on that, but that is actually the reality. So in talking about HDI, must not only for children, not only related, not only focus on children and students, but also towards the teachers themselves. Okay, so there's actually not a question, but it's maybe a comment or an opinion here. So maybe you want to add on any opinion from you on this?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wong, and thank you, Mr. Wafi. To highlight, I think I 100% agree. In terms of this study and also this desk research, actually we need by only one party that involved. I think difficult to list all of this recommendation and suggestion. What is Mr. Wafi mentioned, I think, is also in MOE under MOE picture, and also I think very related to the issue of dropouts. Also issue of dropout, because we know that when it is involved motivation, emotion, everything. So when we can come back to the one of the issue that brought out by this ideas report. You can see lack of lack of interest for school. Even though this statement is quite general, considered like a general statement, but in that particular sentence or issue, I think there's a lot of causes involved. So when you say about interest, it's also involve teachers, and also about the environment, also the way they are, the module given. So maybe with the enthusiasm by the teachers also is one of the big factor. To get this in to make sure the students are very interested to come to school. So if this issue were occurred, teacher will be quite emotional. They will affect the education. The situation, especially to the rural area. But nowadays, I think this position, the teacher's position, we cannot assume similar to other position or working background, because it involves like not only waiting for the salary, but doing this job is part of, I mean, consider like a CSR activities. Now, beside we get the salary, do something, but beside of that, we are doing this for the best for the students. So even though we have a lot of, I think the issue of transfer, posting, everything, I think MOE have a lot of platform. I think there are also application or software being used for that. They are like considered as suka sama suka, transfer sama suka. So based on this application, they can suggest and then they can suggest themselves to be posting back. Okay, I think this is not only issue of the students, but involve a lot of situation. They are not also concentrating on the teachers, but also on the facilities itself. The facilities of the schools, I mean, the way the teachers teach you, and the different medium use. Maybe you know the higher, I mean, the selected school, maybe they are using more on the web-based, I mean, high IT technology medium, I mean, to share the module. But how about the rural area with a limited sources in terms of the internet and everything? So this is I think we have to cover everything, and I agree. One of the causes is come from the issue of the posting issue from the for the teachers.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think this
Thanks.
is my opinion.
Thanks. Yeah, I also like to add that yeah, based on this question, actually, yeah, it is a concern. You know, talking about educators, especially teachers, for government schools. Well, this WCY, World Competitiveness Yearbook, has many indicators, many criteria, they call it. Yeah, instead of indicators, they use the term criteria, and there are 255 of them being used to measure competitiveness of an economy or a country. So yes, the welfare of teachers, the salary, the compensation given to teachers, all these are actually considered also in other criteria. For example, there's a criteria in the WCY that measures ratio of pupils to teachers. So that is, I mean, the factors, the drivers, yeah, and also improvement needed will be focusing more on the teachers in this case. And also there is total expenditure on education, public expenditure on education. These are all criteria that look at not only the students or pupils, but also the educators, the teachers. So, but I think for the HDI criteria here, because of the way it is measured, yeah, it is more focusing on certain what you call parameters, or I would say indicators. And these are indicators that look at very specifically the number of years of schooling, and it's from the perspective of the students, of course. So whether this number of years of schooling are dependent of teachers, you know, meaning are we short of teachers? You know, are we short of schools? Are we short of teachers? That's why people are not able to go to school for 18 years. They're only able to go to school for 15 years, for example. So these are the things we need to consider. So I don't have any other question at the moment. I maybe would like to seek some clarification or just to have a further understanding regarding how this particular index is measured. If you don't mind, Rizal, if you can go back to the slide that had all the components of this HDI. There was a slide. Okay, okay, this one, yes, correct. I think
okay.
all together. Okay, if I look at this particular slide, so altogether within the HDI, how this overall value of this index is calculated is taking into account three segments, right? In the health index, which is the
Yes.
life expectancy at birth, right? This is the one, life expectancy at birth. And then there is this education part. Okay, I lost the slide. Okay, education part, there are two components inside there. And then there's the gross national income per capita.
Standard of living.
So if I look at the value, the value of each of these components, probably education is the lowest, right? Can I say that? Because it says 0.715.
71. Yeah, correct.
0.715 for education index. If we look at health index, is higher, 0.86. And then for standard of living is 0.847. And then there's a way to calculate, I think it's like a cube root, to the power of 103, should be cube root, no, sorry, it's not cube root. It's actually, okay, it's cube. Taking the cube root is a mathematical operation, and we get the final value of 0.805. So would this mean that, we should be focusing more on the education part, because we are, in terms of all the other components, compared with all the other components, this is the lowest. And mean years of schooling is also the lowest, 0.68 within the education index. So it's very appropriate that Rizal focus in this talk today on the mean years of schooling and expected years of schooling, because these two components which make up the education index, it is the lowest value compared to the other two components of health and standard of living. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, that education is sort of like pulling down the overall score for HDI. Okay. My next question is regarding the schools. I mean, the way it's measured. You were talking about schools, maybe non-formal type of schools, or schools not registered with MOE, such as I think you gave an example of Sekolah Tahfiz. Maybe also some homeschools nowadays. Private schools they go for homeschooling. So are these like this type of schooling? I think in other countries, for example, other countries inside WCY, how do they manage that? Is there any best practice that you have seen during your research? How other countries manage this? Do they manage to capture such schooling of non-formal schools as part of the schooling under this HDI?
Actually, I'm not able to come to that extent to search for the practice from other country. I think it's a good idea from Mr. Wong. I mean, to extend the scope, to share. I mean, to benchmark how they, because they are using the same standard. You know that this international standard for labor force survey. So there are no reason for them to use a different survey. So but why they can be able to collect all the information using the same standard? But from Malaysia, there's one we use it as a reason not to have all these others category. This category is not include inside this survey. No, the suggestion to improvise or to improve our labor force survey is based on their, I mean the ministry and also the Department of Statistics itself. They suggested to come up maybe a different survey or try to adjust. I mean, in terms of the classification. That's the information that I get from them. But I think Mr. Wang's suggestion is very good. I mean, to look at from other countries, maybe Singapore or our Asian countries, how they can cater all these categories by using the same survey, this international survey.
Okay, so what you're saying is that it's not really what you call a requirement by by IMD, or in this case by the UNHDP, I think, right? The organization that come up with this index, the measurement of this HDI. It's not really their requirement to restrict. It must be a certain type of schools, then only you can consider as schooling. So it's more of our Department of Statistics way of surveying. The questionnaire maybe needs to be revised to capture a more complete picture. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I think that's how, I mean, the pictures come in because the source, the only source that you can rely is from Department of Statistics. I think most of the country also rely with this Department of Statistics of their countries. But how the source are coming in, so maybe there are choices that we can suggest as long under the same agency. As long as the same agency.
Okay.
And then
so does that mean that the UNHDP actually they take the data from individual countries' national body, like for Malaysia they take from our Department of Statistics. And it's because of the way we have done the survey, the way we have collected the data through the questionnaire in the labor force survey, which could have missed out some of this education, like part-time tertiary education, or maybe night classes, part-time night classes, or part-time master's program not being counted as schooling in this mean years of schooling measurement. Is that possible? Is that what is happening for Malaysia based on your research? Is that the case?
Okay. Based on the questionnaire that I go through, because we have to understand when they come to our house to do this called banci, the banci, and the banci also, I mean, the duration is quite so long. I mean, from one year to another year, one banci to another one banci. So maybe in terms of I mean, for labor force survey, they are doing, I think, yearly. This labor force survey is yearly, different from the banci that we are happening right now. So in terms of, I mean, the UNDP, I don't think they are concentrating on the how we are using the survey to collect the data. They are more emphasized on the data that we present to them. Okay, I mean the Department of Statistics, but it's ourselves to decide. I mean the way of collecting all the data, and then how we are going to use the same survey to collect the information. I don't want. I think it's not my position to say they are wrong. I mean the way they are doing is not correct or otherwise. But I think. But in terms of definition, I think quite general. When we saw that when we look at the definition of the education, they just put a figure. I mean, number of years to what years, and then just stated about the education. So it's I mean the scope is quite big. It's quite big. So that's I mean that's it. I mean that is my opinion. I think it's not not right or wrong. Maybe in terms of the way of doing things that is we want to concentrate.
Okay. How about getting? Okay, I think one way is to increase the. Increase the secondary school enrollment, meaning to reduce the dropout when transitioning from primary school to secondary school. And you were suggesting that it would be a good idea if we can make it a compulsory schooling until the end of secondary school. But currently that's not the case. Is that what I forgot? There was a policy or regulation you're mentioning.
Okay. Actually, it's not my.
Transition to extend until like Form 5. Is that?
Yeah.
I think not for Malaysia.
Okay. I think I would like to highlight here in terms of this suggestion. It's not my personal suggestion or my personal opinion. Actually, it's based on a few articles that I read. I mean, before our previous government, our minister has suggested to make it compulsory, to complete compulsory. And I don't know what is the progress. I mean, the status right now, whether our current government is continuing with this initiative, or they are doing by staggered. But we can, I mean, if you Google in the internet, I mean, this policy or this statement is already brought out by these ministers to concentrate on the dropout, to make sure our dropout case is reduced by enforce this act to make it compulsory.
Okay.
So,
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rizal. I don't see any question yet. I mean, looks like maybe that's the only one question from Muhammad Wafi just now that we have. Right. So I propose that we can end the session or our talk today. Any last or final words from you, Rizal, before we end? Is there any final word, comment from you regarding this topic?
Okay. I think my final conclusion about this HDI, I think in terms of this analysis of research, I don't think we consider it's a final analysis of research. There's a lot of areas that we need to cover, and a lot of parties may be involved in giving some recommendation or suggestion. And all this recommendation also is not personally my own opinion. Just I collected a few and I do some research based on the articles and also suggestion. I think most of it from the reliable sources, our ministry itself. But we need also to maybe from NGOs that provide these articles for the next action taken, to see how we can further up discuss about these years of schooling. And just for your information, I think MPC had taken this initiative, has doing this earlier initiative, tie up with the MOE to tackle on this value. I mean this issue of education. So we hope there's a good result and some good impact after a few discussion with this respective ministry. I mean maybe next year, another series. So I think we cannot assume that this is the last report or the last analysis, because everybody can participate in this analysis. So I think that's my summary for this today's session.
Yeah, thank you. Well said, Rizal. And I agree with you. That is the next phase. MPC will be taking the recommendations for example, for this HDI criterion, the recommendations that Rizal had tabled or put forward. It will be compiled, and then prioritized, and then together with recommendations related to, for example, MOE, if we are talking about education, right? So anything that is related to MOE, whether related to this particular criterion or related to other criteria within the WCY's report, will be compiled, and then it will be taken forward to the Ministry of Education to see how they can take some actions to improve Malaysia's competitiveness ranking, not only for HDI but for all others that Ministry of Education can make an impact on. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I think we have come to the end of our talk today. Thank you, Rizal, for a very interesting, enlightening talk. Although you are only able to focus on education, but we know, as shown on the scores by scores of the various components of HDI, education is the one that needs to be focused on because it has the lowest score. And it is very interesting and good discussion also. And I would like to thank those who have joined our webinar today for taking precious time out from your busy schedule to participate in this webinar. And also, I wish everyone a good weekend, a good rest during the weekend, and stay safe, stay healthy, and as much as possible, stay at home during this CMCO period. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Thank you, MPC.
Thank you, Rizal.